What's up, everyone? Taylor Lewis here from FilmCreatorPro.com. Over the course of our career, we have interviewed over 1,000 people all over the world. And one of the biggest questions we get asked is, how do you get people to be so authentic in an interview? So today we're going to be going over our top 5 tips for getting an authentic interview. Tip number 1, be friendly. This might seem like a no-brainer, but it is something people forget to do all the time, and it is super important. If you're not caring or charismatic from the get-go, they aren't going to feel comfortable. This process starts the instant you meet the person, whether it's via email, over the phone, or the day of the interview. You want the person you're interviewing to look at you as if you're their best friend. You're obviously not, but that is not the point. If they feel like you're their friend, they're going to feel more willing to be open with you. This is key, especially when you're interviewing people about sensitive or personal things. But I'm going to throw a little caveat in there for you. Don't get your subject's whole story before you actually interview them. You can get bits and pieces, but you really want to capture the first time they tell the story on camera, because that's when they're going to show the most raw emotion. Each time someone tells their story, the more scripted it tends to sound. So try connecting with them through other subjects. Simply avoid interviewing them before the interview starts.
Sometimes Italians like to take the other side of the argument, whether or not they believe in it or not, just to keep the conversation going.
Tip number 2, keep it simple. You don't want to go overboard on the amount of crew or gear you have. And most of the people you interview have probably never been in front of a camera before. So this will be a very foreign situation for them and has a high possibility to cause them a lot of anxiety.
At Norbest, 100%. Sorry, are you ready? This is not what I do well.
So to make this environment open and friendly, we've found that keeping the gear simplified and the crew to a minimum is the best. We try to keep our crew to about 2 to 3 people. If you have to have a bigger crew, this might be something where you get everything set up and have the non-essential members leave the room during the interview. We've noticed when we have a lot of crew members, it tends to make the interviewee a bit more nervous. The same thing happens when you have a ton of gear. The more elaborate the setup, the more uncomfortable the people tend to feel. You don't need 6 cameras, 30 lights, and tracks to shoot a pretty looking interview. Some of our best and most authentic interviews were shot on a small DSLR, a tripod, and 2 mics. It just created a more comfortable environment.
Mommy's the coolest mommy, and Daddy
has big muscles.
likes to play a lot.
Now, don't think that's what we shoot every interview with, because it's not. Feel free to use whatever gear necessary. You actually might be interviewing someone that is used to being in front of a camera, so keeping it simple wouldn't be a huge priority in that situation. But you should always prioritize how the interviewee is feeling over the gear you use. Tip number 3, quick setup. You want to be able to be as fast as possible when setting up your gear, because the longer it takes you, the more bored and impatient the interviewee will get. No matter who you're interviewing, if they're seasoned or not in the film world, they will likely get impatient if it takes too long to set up. So if you have lots of stuff to set up, it would be smart to arrive to the location early and get everything up and going before the interviewee gets there. But now you're into the question, how do you turn this awesome, comfortable environment into a great interview? Well, that's where tip number 4 comes in. Guide the conversation. Don't control it. Continuing down the path of keeping them comfortable, we start every interview by asking the person about their life and hobbies. Even though we might not use that section, we always do it to help them get used to being interviewed. Then we start asking questions about whatever topic they're there for. We usually start by asking them to tell us a specific story that pertains to the topic of the interview. After we get the basic overview of the story, we then drill in by asking more direct, open-ended questions. The main thing to keep in mind is don't make the story something it's not. Let them be them. If they cry, they cry. If they laugh, they laugh. Your job is to guide this conversation, not control it.
I didn't think I was gonna cry. I cry like every day about something, so it's okay.
Moving on to tip number 5, don't go too long. You want to make sure that the interview doesn't go on forever, because again, the people you normally interview aren't used to this. In our opinion, an hour is usually a good cutoff point. If you don't get what you need in that hour, it would be smart to take a break, let them stretch their legs, and maybe even get lunch, and then come back and shoot the rest of it. Bonus tip, walk and talk. The walk and talk interview is the easiest way to get the most authentic answers out of people. The reason being is because they aren't expecting it, so their answers are going to feel less thought out and more authentic. What you do is when you're out and about getting B-roll of the interviewee, Ask them questions on camera. This is also a great way to get pickup lines that you missed during the main interview.
I hung around mostly with the kids that lived on West 8th Street. This is West 9th Street.
I always had a dream of running a full marathon, and after I did one, I don't know, I couldn't stop anymore.
Anyway, there you have it, our top 5 tips in getting an authentic interview. If you want to learn more tips and tricks just like this video, go to our online course at filmcreatorpro.com, where we teach people how to be a filmmaker. There you can learn what gear to buy, how to set up a business, how to find clients, how to edit, and much more. So go to Film Creator Pro right now and sign up. See you in there.